All right, how's that? Is that helpful? Okay, that should help. There's Dana, and there's my mom, Barbara Whitney. I tried a variation with my microphone to see if that is helpful, but apparently it's not. That should have fixed it, so just give me a heads up if it works. There we go. Thank you, Janisa. So apparently I can't use this microphone, so you're gonna have to deal with a lesser audio, but it's better than that chatterbox thing that happens when I plug my microphone in. So I'm not sure what causes that. We'll get to the bottom of it, even if I have to throw some more money at it. So this morning I'm here at Donner Lake. Good morning, Deanne Fine. Jan Akins, did I already say that? Jim and Kathy Fuente, I see you. Debbie King, good morning. Daryl and Suzanne, welcome to you. So you're gonna deal with a little bit of traffic noise because I'm right, the road that goes by the edge of the lake is just beyond the camera here. And so you'll hear a bit of that this morning, but I thought you would enjoy a bit of the perspective that is nearby where we are. We're not staying right on the lake, but this is about a 5 to 8 minute drive from where we're staying. But I thought I'd give you a little bit of a backdrop this morning. Lori Agassi, Stephen Andrea, welcome everyone. I'm in Psalm 105. Is that right? Yeah, 105 this morning. No, 106. Oh, I don't remember. Let me see where my bookmark is. Oh yeah, 105. 105. So I wrote down the wrong date on this live stream. I don't know if I can edit that or not. So today's actually the 15th. I think I wrote the 16th. So we are on 105 this morning, and the thing I enjoyed about this psalm. By the way, if you're joining me late, I'm at Donner Lake up here near Truckee. We're enjoying a week away. I feel so much better today. Yesterday I was so tired all day long actually, and today is so much better. My body's finally recovering, and so it's good, it's positive. And I enjoyed Psalm 105 this morning. In Psalm 105, if you read the entire psalm, it's I think 43 or 44 verses somewhere in there, and it recounts a portion of Israel's history. Beginning with the covenant God made with Abraham all the way through the time they take possession of the land. And so it covers several hundred years in the course of 45 verses. So it begins, let me turn the page here to get the beginning, with this verse. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the peoples. So the psalmist, it's the intention of the psalmist to make known the deeds of God on behalf of his people. He begins with the covenant God makes with Abraham. He says, sing to him, sing praises to him, tell all of his wondrous works. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. O offspring of Abraham, his servant, children of Jacob, his chosen ones. Verse 7, he is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. He remembers his covenant forever. So God is the covenant-keeping God, beginning with the covenant he made with Moses. That has to do with the land, not the Moses. Abraham, remember he promised him offspring and a land. And then the psalmist will carry us through that moment all the way through the fulfillment of those promises. Of Isaac being born, and the promise being renewed to Jacob that he will dwell in the land, and it goes through their being oppressed in Egypt for 400 years, and ends up them being taking the land. So I thought I'd read a little bit more. He remembers his covenant forever, the word that he commanded for 1,000 generations, the covenant he made with Abraham, his sworn promise to Isaac. And so, yeah, I see your comment, Carmen. We hope to visit your restaurant, actually your family's restaurant. We've already seen it in downtown Truckee. We've already commented, hey, that's Carmen's family restaurant. We're going to go there. Anyway, I digress. Back to the psalmist. So the point of the psalm is to say, look, God is a covenant-keeping God. He's going to take care of his people. He made a promise to Abraham, and look, we are dwelling in the land. We are a nation, just like he promised Abraham. And forgive me if there's a breeze noise on the mic. These 45 verses cover several hundred years. Well, within those years, let me just bring in a few more facts. If you just read the psalm, you're thinking you're just getting the highlight reel of Israel for those hundreds of years. God allowed them to wander in Canaan without being injured by any other peoples, though Abraham was dwelling just he and his household, a pretty small number of people relative to nations around them, and God protected them. And then when a famine, he allowed them to go into Egypt when a famine was going to threaten the land, and he sent Joseph ahead of them so he could then allow Joseph to rise up to be second in command so he could deliver his family. And then even though Egypt oppressed Israel, God delivered them out, and he punished Egypt for oppressing them, and he created justice for them. And then he fed them in the desert, and he was there present with them in the cloud by day and the fire by night, and he allowed water to come out of the rock, and then he brings them into the land. So that's kind of the highlight reel of Psalm 105. But within that, you got to remember, God sent Joseph ahead. Well, how did he do it? He allowed Joseph to be betrayed by his brothers, to be enslaved. He was wrongfully accused. He endured a lot of suffering in order to bring about that deliverance. After God allowed Israel to prosper in Egypt, he also put it in the mind of the Pharaoh to oppress his people for 400 years. So this wonderful accounting of God's covenant-keeping promises to Israel includes someone like, if I was born during the captivity in Egypt, I could be born, live my entire life a slave, and die. I could have kids. They could come into this world oppressed, live their entire life, and die without having seen God's deliverance, without having seen God's redemption. That span of time is mind-boggling to me. Yet in this little vignette from Abraham to God's keeping his covenant by bringing them out of Egypt and bringing them into the land, and look how great it is to be a part of the people of God, we have to remember there are individuals' experiences that weren't that great. So why does the psalmist give us this image in 105? And this is the perspective that I thought was helpful to me. If you think about when you take that entire span of time, it's easy to draw a highlight reel of God's faithfulness. And the psalmist does it excellently. You have to keep in mind that from God's perspective, and the psalmist is kind of taking on a bit of that perspective in the moment here, that yes, from the beginning to end, he's been faithful. When things bad have happened to Israel, he's redeemed them. He's rescued them. He's created justice. When they left Egypt, they left rich because of God's bringing about their redemption. It's not that they didn't have bad times, it's that God was faithful throughout that entire time. And we can read that entire hundreds of years of history in 45 verses. So it becomes a snapshot of God's faithfulness. And when you think about the New Testament writers do the very same thing. I think about Paul when he gives us a snapshot of from Adam to Jesus. He says, in the first Adam, I think he writes about this in Corinthians. In the first Adam, all sinned, and therefore all have died. In the last Adam, Jesus, all have been made righteous. Look at the faithfulness of God. Well, from Adam to Jesus are thousands of years. Lots of things have happened. But from God's perspective, and therefore the perspective of Paul in Corinthians, He can write it in a few sentences. And I'm coming to this point where I think all of us need to understand the New Testament perspective is that we are also now in a time of waiting. We are waiting for the blessed hope of the return of Jesus. God has been faithful from Adam until the coming Christ, the Redeemer of all things. He paid the penalty for our sin through millennia of time. And now we are waiting for millennia. But in God's perspective, it is a snapshot. It is a small moment of time. And within those thousands of years, our very lives, the Bible reminds us over and over and over how short of a time our personal experience is. It's a breath, it's a shadow, it's a mist that appears for a moment then dies. We are like grass that grows up but then it dies in the same season. He reminds us of the brevity of our life in relation to the big picture where God is carrying out his plan. And if we look at the highlight reel of all of redemptive history, we see over and over and over again how faithful God is to his people to keep his covenants. He will fulfill his promises. He will bring about justice. His promises will take place. And so we have to also keep that perspective, because it's easy for us just to look at our little breath of a life and say, wow, things aren't going according to plan. Things aren't going well today. I mean, think about our life as a breath. Think about this single day. If something is to not go right today, we have to have that eternal perspective that the Bible, the biblical writers help us with over and over and over again. Look at redemptive history. God is faithful. He has not given up on his people. He has not abandoned us in any way whatsoever. In fact, he has proven himself over and over and over again to fulfill his promises. And the promise that is yet to be fulfilled is our ultimate redemption. When Jesus comes and sets up his kingdom on earth, he will rule on an earthly throne and he will recreate heaven and earth. We will be given glorified bodies that we will live with him forever. Paul, writing about this in Romans chapter 8, says that our current afflictions will appear light and momentary compared to the eternal glory that awaits us. So if we take any cues from Psalm 105 today, may it be to recognize the perspective of God. Just as Peter writes, God is not slow in bringing about his promises, as some consider slowness. We're not taking enough time in to see how God works in history. We might be having a bad day or a bad year, or maybe our entire life feels difficult in many parts of the world. That may be how it feels. But relative to redemptive history from Adam until the return of Christ when he sets up his kingdom, it will be our lives here, the bad day we might be having or the bad year we might be having is a snap of the fingers. We have to keep our perspective. We have to wait. God's promises will be fulfilled. And in this we have hope. And so let us take a cue from Psalm 105. Let's look forward to the blessed return of Jesus, at which time there will be complete justice. No more tears, no more suffering, and we'll be with him forever. And take hope in that today. Keep your eyes fixed on that. God's promises will be fulfilled. Lord bless you today, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.